31 goals, 33 games, 0 penalties.
And they still didn't win the league.
That's not the point.
That's exactly the point. We're about to argue about the greatest January signing in Premier League history, and I'm telling you right now, the stats are going to shock you.
Here we go.
Because the player everyone thinks is number one might not even crack my top 3.
Now you're just being controversial for clicks.
Hey, Armando, stay with us.
Welcome to the Neural Net, the football podcast where AI meets analytics and we don't care about your feelings. I'm OJEY.
And I'm Martins, here to remind everyone that football is still played by humans, not spreadsheets.
Today, we're diving into January transfers, the winter window, when clubs are desperate, prices are inflated, and players have no pre-season to settle in. And yet, some of the greatest signings in Premier League history happened in January. Bruno Fernandes, Virgil van Dijk, Luis Suarez. These weren't just good signings.
They were league-altering events. But here's what makes this interesting. We fundamentally disagree on who the GOAT January signing is.
We do. So let's get into it. But first, context. According to data from FBref and Transfermarkt, only about 23% of a club's annual transfer spending happens in January. The success rate even lower. Most January signings are panic buys.
Which makes the elite ones even more impressive.
Exactly. So let's start with the elephant in the room.
Bruno Fernandes, January 2020. Manchester United paid £47 million up front for a midfielder from Sporting CP, and just in half a season.
Wait, before you go full Bruno fanboy on me, let me hit you with something.
Go ahead.
Bruno's first season numbers, 12 goals, 8 assists in 22 Premier League appearances. Impressive, right? Very. Here's the thing though, in the 2024-25 season, even after United's disaster campaign finishing 15th, Bruno still led the entire Premier League in key passes with 91. That's more than Mohamed Salah at 88.
See, that proves my point.
No, hear me out. He ranked number 1 in progressive passes attempted, first in successful through balls with 31. He had 193 shot-creating actions. Only Cole Palmer had more.
So you're making my argument for me.
But here's where it gets interesting. Those 91 key passes, they only converted into 10 assists. That's an 11% conversion rate. You know what that tells me?
That his teammates can't finish?
That's one interpretation. The other interpretation, and this is what the data suggests, is that Bruno takes enormous risks. FBref has him in the 97th percentile for progressive passes attempted, but only the 68th percentile for pass completion.
Because he's playing ambitious boss. That's literally his job.
Or, and stay with me, he's inefficient. In 2024-25, he touched the ball 2,649 times, 4th most in the league. But United scored 44 goals. 44! That's the same as Bournemouth.
You're judging a midfielder by team goals.
I'm judging impact. And here's my controversial take. Bruno Fernandes is simultaneously one of the most productive and most overrated January signings ever.
That's insane.
The numbers don't lie. 103 goals and 93 assists in 308 matches across 5 years is elite. I'm not disputing that. But tell me this. Has Bruno made Manchester United better as a collective unit?
They finished 3rd his first half season.
And since then? EFL Cup in 2023, FA Cup in 2024, fair enough, but they finished 2nd, 6th, 3rd, 8th and 15th. That's an average league position of 6.8.
You can't pin that all on Bruno.
I'm not. I'm saying that the transformative label needs context. Compare that to...
Don't say Van Dijk.
I am absolutely saying Van Dijk.
Fine, let's talk about Virgil.
January 2018. Liverpool pays £75 million, world record for a defender at the time. People lost their minds. Klopp was called a hypocrite for spending that much after criticising the Pogba fee.
And then Van Dijk proceeded to prove everyone wrong.
Did he though? Look at the immediate impact. Liverpool finished 4th that season, same as the previous year. They made the Champions League final.
Which they lost.
Right, so year 1, mixed results. Then, 2018-19, they win the Champions League and finish 2nd in the league with 97 points.
97 points and didn't win the league. That's insane.
Then 2019-20, they win the Premier League. First title in 30 years. Van Dijk is imperious. In that title-winning season, Liverpool conceded just 33 league goals, fewest in the entire league. Incredible. Then he gets injured in October 2020 and Liverpool collapse. The 2020-21 season, without Van Dijk, they conceded 42 goals. When he came back for 2021-22, they conceded 26.
That's a 16-goal swing.
Exactly my point. Here's the stat that matters. Van Dijk's impact is structural, and in the 2024-25 season, Liverpool won the title again with Van Dijk as captain.
Leading from the back.
Correct. And look at the defensive stability. They've built an entire system around Van Dijk's positioning and reading of the game.
So it's a system thing.
It's a symbiotic thing. Van Dijk makes the system work, and the system makes Van Dijk's numbers look even better. But here's my question for you. Is he the greatest January signing ever?
I think no, and I'll tell you why.
Go on.
Because the greatest January signing ever didn't just transform a team, they transformed a season, mid-flight, while it was happening.
You're talking about Suarez.
I'm absolutely talking about Suarez.
Luis Suarez, January 2011. Liverpool paid £23 million to Ajax. 4 years later, they sell him to Barcelona for £75 million. Triple their money.
But forget the money for a second. Let's talk about 2013-14. Are you ready for these numbers?
Hit me. 33 Premier League games, 31 goals, 0 penalties, 12 assists. He directly contributed to 43 goals. That's nearly half of Liverpool's 101 league goals that season.
It's absurd.
He missed the first 5 games due to suspension from the Ivanovic fight the previous season. 5 games, and he still won the Golden Boot. His goals per game ratio was 0.94. Higher than peak Ronaldo, peak Henry, peak anyone. And here's what people forget. Liverpool were not a great team. They finished 7th the previous season. They had one of the worst defences in the top half. Daniel Sturridge was brilliant, 21 goals. But without Suarez?
They finished 7th again.
At best, probably 9th or 10th. Suarez single-handedly dragged them to the verge of the title. And the quality of the goals.
The 40-yard lob against Norwich.
Insane. 4 goals that game. Or the free kick against them. He hit the woodwork 9 times that season. 9.
OK, but here's my counter. They didn't win the league.
That's your counter?
That's my counter. The greatest January signing ever has to win something. Van Dijk won 2 Premier Leagues and a Champions League. Bruno's won the EFL Cup and an FA Cup. Suarez won what? The individual awards?
He won the League Cup in 2012.
The Carling Cup against Cardiff City on penalties.
It still counts.
Does it though? We're talking about the greatest January signing in Premier League history, not guy who lifted a second-tier trophy in a shootout.
You're such an elitist.
I'm a realist. The League Cup matters if you're Wigan or Birmingham. It doesn't define greatness when we're ranking all-time January signings. Suarez was extraordinary, but he won 1 domestic cup and then lost the league title when it mattered most.
Fine, but you can't say he won nothing.
Fair correction, he won a League Cup and a European Golden Shoe and every individual award that season, but not the Premier League, not when Liverpool needed him most.
The Gerrard slip.
Wasn't Suarez's fault, I know, but we're judging legacy, and legacy is defined by the trophies that matter. Look, I'm not diminishing what Suarez did. It's one of the greatest individual seasons in Premier League history, maybe the greatest. But as a January signing, you're moving the goalposts. I'm not. I'm asking what's the criteria? Peak performance, title wins, longevity, value for money?
You tell me.
Because if we're talking value for money, there's a January signing who cost around £400,000.
Please don't.
Riyad Mahrez, Le Havre to Leicester City, January 2014, around £400,000.
God, you went there.
That's not even the price of a luxury car, Martins. That's a used luxury car, a nice Honda Civic.
Okay, but...
In his first full season, he wins the championship with Leicester. They get promoted. Then the next season...
The 5,000 to 1 season.
They win the Premier League. the greatest underdog story in sports history, and Mahrez isn't just along for the ride, he's essential. He scores 17 goals, gets 11 assists and wins PFA Player of the Year.
Okay, I can argue with this.
ROI, return on investment, my spreadsheet literally crashed trying to calculate it. Leicester paid around £400,000 and got a Premier League title, a PFA Player of the Year, and then sold him to Manchester City for £60 million.
That's over 13,000% profit.
You calculated that in your head?
I have a calculator app.
Fair. But here's the thing, if we're judging January signings purely for value, Mahrez isn't just the best, he's in a different universe.
Okay, but let's be real. If you're starting a team tomorrow and you could have January-era Suarez, Van Dijk, Bruno or Mahrez...
I'm still taking Van Dijk.
Really?
Every time, because great defenders are rarer than great attackers, and his impact is multiplicative. He makes everyone around him better. But Mahrez proves something important. Sometimes the best January signing isn't the most expensive. Sometimes it's the one nobody saw coming.
The Leicester story is pure magic.
It's also pure data. The numbers don't lie.
For once, we agree on both.
And I'll give you a stat that proves Van Dijk's impact. Liverpool in 2017-18, before Van Dijk, they were conceding goals at an alarming rate. After Van Dijk joined in January 2018, the defensive transformation was immediate. They went from being defensively vulnerable to reaching a Champions League final. The turnaround was incredible. By 2019-20, they'd conceded just 33 goals in the entire season, best in the league. It's transformative. And they reached the Champions League final that first season, then won it the next year, then won the Premier League, then won it again in 2024-25. With Van Dijk as captain. Exactly. So my argument is simple. The greatest January signing ever is the one who most fundamentally altered their club's trajectory, and that's Van Dijk.
I still think it's Suarez.
Of course you do.
Can we talk about something we haven't mentioned yet?
What's that?
Suarez's controversies, because this is part of the January signing story too. He joined Liverpool in January 2011, 4 days before the window closed, and Liverpool knew exactly who they were getting.
The bite on Bakker at Ajax at OJEY.
Right, he was already serving a 7-match ban. Then at Liverpool, he bites Ivanovic, 8-game ban. He gets banned for racist language towards Patrice Evra, 10 games.
Then he buys Chiellini at the World Cup.
While still a Liverpool player, and they sold him to Barcelona 3 weeks later for £75 million.
So here's the question. Does off-field behaviour affect how we judge a January signing?
It has to, right?
I don't think so. We're judging on-field impact, what they did for their club during their time there.
But you brought up trophies earlier. That's not just on-field, that's legacy.
Fair point, but legacy isn't the same as morality. Suarez was undoubtedly problematic. He was also undoubtedly brilliant.
Can both things be true?
They have to be, because if we start judging players by their off-field behaviour, we lose half of football history.
That's depressingly accurate.
But I think it's important to separate the player's impact from the person's character. Suarez, the footballer, was transformative. Suarez, the person, had serious issues.
Agreed, and I think Liverpool handled it well. They supported him publicly but sold him when his value peaked.
Smart business.
Now, can we talk about another controversial January signing? Who? Coutinho.
Oh, this is interesting.
Felipe Coutinho, Inter to Liverpool, January 2013, £8.5 million.
Absolute bargain.
He plays 5 years, scores 54 goals, 45 assists in 201 games, becomes the magician. Fans love him. And then...
Barcelona come calling.
January 2018, Liverpool sell him for £142 million.
Which they used to buy Van Dijk and Alisson.
So, here's the paradox. Is Coutinho a great January signing because of what he did, or because of what his sale enabled?
Both.
Can it be both?
It has to be, because Liverpool benefited twice, once from his performances, once from his transfer fee. That's genius recruitment.
But here's what's wild. Coutinho went to Barcelona and completely flopped, then to Bayern, and now he's in Brazil at age 32.
Career trajectory matters, and I think Coutinho's proved something important about January signings. Sometimes the timing of the sale is as important as the timing of the purchase. Liverpool sold at his peak value and used that money to address their two weakest positions, centre-back and goalkeeper. That's elite squad building.
So, where does Coutinho rank in the all-time January signings?
Top 10 easily, but not top 5.
Agreed, because he didn't win major trophies with Liverpool.
Though, to be fair, he was instrumental in getting them to a Champions League final in 2018. Wait, no, he left before then.
Exactly. He left right before Liverpool's golden period. That's the other side of the coin.
Timing.
Everything in football is timing.
We should talk about recent January signings because we've been focused on historical transfers.
Bruno Fernandes.
Go on.
January 2022. Newcastle sign him from Lyon for around £40 million. Newcastle are in the relegation zone. They finish 11th. The next season?
Champions League qualification.
And Mahrez is at the heart of everything. His progressive passing, his defensive work rate, his ability to drive forward.
He's been phenomenal.
But here's my question. Is he a better January signing than Luis Diaz, who Liverpool bought the same month?
Oh, that's good.
Diaz came from Porto for £37.5 million, hits the ground running, electric pace, direct dribbling, and he helped Liverpool compete on 4 fronts that season.
They won the FA Cup and League Cup.
Right. So who had more impact? Mahrez keeping Newcastle up and then firing them into Europe, or Diaz adding another dimension to an already elite Liverpool attack?
I'm taking Mahrez.
Why?
Because Newcastle's trajectory was more dramatic. They went from relegation candidates to top 4 in 18 months. That's unprecedented in the modern era.
But Liverpool won trophies.
Liverpool were always going to compete for trophies. They had Salah, Mane, Firmino, Van Dijk, Alisson. Diaz was an upgrade, sure, but not transformative.
I think you're underrating him.
Maybe. But look at it this way. If Newcastle don't sign Mahrez, do they stay up? Probably not. If Liverpool don't sign Diaz, do they still win the FA Cup and League Cup?
Probably yes.
That's the difference. Mahrez was essential. Diaz was excellent, but not essential.
Fair enough. What about Trippier?
Oh, Trippier's interesting. Same window. Newcastle's first signing under the new ownership. £12 million from Atletico Madrid.
People questioned his motives.
And he proceeded to be one of the best January signings of the decade. Leadership, experience, set-piece delivery. He traveled with the team to matches even when injured.
That's leadership.
And his numbers, 25 goal contributions for a defender. That's elite. Plus, he captained them to a Carabao Cup final and Champions League qualification.
So Newcastle had 2 transformative January signings in the same window.
Which raises an interesting question. Has any club ever had a better January window than Newcastle 2022?
I can't think of one.
Neither can I. Trippier and Mahrez for a combined £52 million, both instant impacts, both still at the club, both integral to their success.
That might be the GOAT January window.
All right, we're running out of time. Let's do rapid-fire hot takes.
Oh, God.
Ready?
No.
Nemanja Vidic, January 2006, £7 million from Spartak Moscow, 5 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, legendary partnership with Rio Ferdinand. Is he a better January signing than Van Dijk?
No.
Why not?
Van Dijk is more complete. Vidic was a pure defender. Elite at it, don't get me wrong, but Van Dijk can defend and play out from the back at an elite level.
But Vidic won more.
Different eras. If Vidic played today with those tactics, he'd struggle.
Controversial.
But true. Next one.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Arsenal, January 2018, £56 million, scored 92 goals in 163 games, won a FA Cup. Is he underrated in the January signing conversation?
Yes.
Really?
People forget how good he was. He shared the golden boot with Salah and Mane in 2018-19. He single-handedly won Arsenal the FA Cup in 2020 with braces against City and Chelsea.
But then he got the new contract and everything fell apart.
Sure, but we're judging his impact and not his ending, and his impact was significant.
I'll give you that. Top 10?
Top 10, yeah, not top 5.
Agreed. One more.
Hit me.
Andy Cole, January 1995. Newcastle to United, £7 million, a British record at the time. He scored 5 goals and a 9-0 win over Ipswich 2 months after signing. Insane! Went on to score 121 goals for United, 5 Premier League titles, the 1999 treble, and yet nobody talks about him as one of the great January signings.
Because we forget pre-2000 football sometimes.
Which is a shame. Cole's numbers are absurd. 187 Premier League goals, 4th all-time when he retired.
So where does he rank?
Honestly, top 5.
Over Suarez?
In terms of trophies, yes, but Suarez's peak was higher.
This is the problem with ranking players across eras.
It's impossible to do perfectly, but it's fun to try.
All right, we need to wrap up, so let's each give our top 4 January signings ever.
You first.
Fine. Number 4, Riyad Mahrez, because you made a compelling case and I can't deny the fairy tale. Number 3, Bruno Fernandes. Despite your criticisms, his productivity and longevity are undeniable. Number 2, Andy Cole, because the trophies matter and people forget how elite he was. Number 1, Luis Suarez. The 2013-14 season is the greatest individual campaign in Premier League history, and he did it as a January signing.
Top 4 now. We're expanding.
I brought Mahrez into this. That's on you.
Fair. My turn. Number 4, Bruno Guimaraes, Newcastle's modern miracle. Number 3, Bruno Fernandes. Same reasoning as you. Can't deny the numbers. Number 2, Nemanja Vidic. 5 titles, Champions League, legendary defender. Number 1, Van Dijk. Most transformative January signing ever, changed Liverpool's entire defensive structure and helped them win 2 Premier Leagues and a Champions League.
Wait, you didn't include Mahrez in your top 4?
Value doesn't equal greatness. Mahrez is the best value signing. Van Dijk is the best signing, period.
You're impossible.
I'm consistent.
We both have Bruno at 3.
Great minds.
But we fundamentally disagree on number 1.
As we should. That's what makes this fun.
Here's my final question. When clubs look for their next transformative January signing, what should they prioritize?
What should they look for?
Yeah.
I think the lesson from all these signings is that you can't just buy talent, you have to buy fit. Van Dijk fit Liverpool's style perfectly. Bruno fit United's need for creativity. Suarez fit Liverpool's attacking identity. Mahrez fit Leicester's underdog mentality. And they all had something to prove. That's crucial. Van Dijk wanted to prove he was worth £75 million. Bruno wanted to prove he could dominate the Premier League. Suarez wanted to prove Ajax was wrong to sell him after the controversies. Mahrez wanted to prove he belonged in elite football.
So you're saying clubs should look for elite players with a chip on their shoulder?
Exactly.
I can get behind that.
That's it for today's episode. We covered the greatest January signings in Premier League history, argued about everything.
But, for every success story we've talked about, there's a flip side. We focused on the hits, but the January transfer window is statistically more likely to produce a miss. The data shows it's a minefield. For every Van Dijk, there are 10 expensive mistakes that set clubs back years. As usual,
and hopefully gave you something to think about. Every January, the winter window opens and clubs make moves that could define their next decade.
So keep an eye on who your team brings in, because sometimes, just sometimes, that mid-season signing becomes a legend.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment with your greatest January signing ever, and if you think we're wrong,
which you probably do,
let us know. We read everything.
And we'll probably argue with you in the comments.
I won't argue, I'll just post the spreadsheet that proves you wrong.
This is why people don't invite you to parties.
I don't go to parties, I optimize algorithms.
Ignore him. Like, subscribe, and drop your hot takes below.
But seriously, who's your number 1? Are you Team Suarez, Team Van Dijk, Team Mahrez, or are you about to tell us we missed someone completely?
We're genuinely curious. Let us know.
And if you say Djibril Cissé, we're doing a whole episode just to roast you.
He's not wrong.
All right, until next time.
Stay analytical.
Stay analytical.